Hey there, welcome back to Ace Parks. So this is another game which I played today. In this game, I play as white against my opponent, which is an Indian, which plays as black. I start off with e4, respond with e5, knight to f3, knight to c6. So the game goes on. He captures. I develop my bishop to c4. He develop. Okay. He pushes his pawn to h6. I capture the pawn on d4. He captures back with his knight. I play queen d4, then he plays knight f3, and I play knight c3. And so he pinned my knight to the king by playing bishop b4. I castle because I know that once he takes the knight, all I have to do here is take back with my pawn. Because if I take back with my queen, I would hang this pawn. So it goes on. He castles too, and I I use my knight, forking both his knight or targeting both his knight and his bishop. So he takes. I take back with my bishop. Also revealing an attack on his bishop on b4. He slides his bishop back to d6. Then I play pawn e5, kicking his bishop. He goes bishop e7 to save his bishop from the pawn. I play rook e1. He plays rook e8. Then I play queen f4, and he plays bishop f5, f6 rather, targeting the pawn on e5. You see, so this is actually a trick. So that's the thing, people who are not experienced, I'm also want to use the opportunity to like teach, maybe for those who are like low levels. You see, people will see this as a free bishop. This is not free, because the moment you take on this bishop, this would be mate, back rank mate, because when you take on this bishop, you open the e file and your rook would now be hanging, because this bishop is still blocking both of the rooks. Your rooks are not yet connected. So the point of this move is actually to sack this bishop, which of course I didn't fall for, because if I take, he takes my rook on e1, back rank mate, game is over so easily. And I said no. I play bishop d2, connecting my rooks now. So his sacrificial plan is already over. So the plan he had to sacrifice his bishop is already foiled. Then he kicks my bishop by playing e6 instead of retreating here. See, nothing about chess. It's not all the time you retreat. I know, yes, I could have retreated here. If I retreat, you see, I still have this pawn attacking his bishop and all that. Maybe I could have even taken the pawn for no reason. I don't know, but the point is, not all the time you retreat in chess. Maybe in another of my videos, I think probably I'll be able to show an instance in which you don't just retreat, but instead of fleeing, you fight back. In chess, you don't always flee. You have to find this opportunity to strike back at your opponent, to sting back at them. You see, there are some players, especially low elos, they don't think of what their opponent is planning. They only think of what they have in mind. You see, I've watched several games, and in my mind, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, they think that something is protected, whereas it's actually just going to be mate. Like, they would hang maybe a pawn, and then they would randomly attack one of the pieces that is helping to like deliver a checkmate. Instead of the opponent deliver a checkmate, they randomly or choose to save that piece which didn't need to be saved, as it was already mate in one on the next move. That's the mistake you shouldn't make. Don't always flee, fight back in chess. And also, you need to have a good positional understanding when you are playing. You need to make sure your position is structured. You need to make sure your position is balanced. You see, look at this pawn structure. My pawn structure is looking very clean and nice. Pawn structure matters a lot in chess. His own pawn structure too is pretty good. It's pretty nice. It's pretty arranged. So pawn structure matters a lot. What you do in chess matters a lot. Don't always retreat. You have a chance to retreat, yes, but always fight back. Strike back at the opponent. Strike back at the enemy. Don't always do cowardly things. See here, I could have used my bishop. Probably, I'm not sure. Maybe bishop takes on f7, forking the king and I guess the rook. But you will take the bishop for free, yes. Then I will also take this bishop. Maybe I'll just do that for the purpose of removing this pawn, maybe to remove or blockages. But yeah, I didn't do that. I took on his bishop which was on f6, took my pawn. Then he takes my rook on e1 with check. So I take back. I play rook a e1. So I didn't understand this. He took my pawn on f6 with his queen. This is a very bad move. You see, I could decide to save my bishop because it is hanging. Yeah, I could decide to do that, but no, I don't want to, because he just gave me an opportunity to have an extra piece in an endgame, and of course I rode on the opportunity immediately. He can't capture the bishop because of course it would be a terribly amazingly losing endgame for him. So he has to take my queen. When he takes back, I immediately save my bishop. You see, this is it. I immediately saved my bishop. That was the mistake he made. As I saved my bishop, you can see I have a rook, two bishops for an endgame. What does he have? He has one rook, one bishop, and none of us have passed pawns yet. Our pawn structure is still pretty clean. You see, my plan here was to come here with check. He moves his king from the back rank, which is pretty clean. I could also have played rook to e7, targeting this pawn, which is on f it's on f7, but I just pushed the pawn randomly. I'm not sure I know why I did that. He pushes 2, I push 2, he takes on that pawn, I take on this pawn, then he played this move, rook to d8. This move was very nice. I loved it. In fact, this move was amazing. It was like I almost blundered my rook by trying to play rook to d1. Sorry, yeah, by trying to play rook to d1, maybe preparing to take the pawn on c6 on the next move. But then as I was about to play that, I realized this bishop was a real was really annoying. The position of this bishop is really annoying. You see, another thing in chess is as long as you have the opportunity to kick like a bishop or a major piece, don't allow pieces to stay in your kingdom. You should not allow your opponent's pieces to like be comfortably seated or comfortably positioned in such a way that they can attack and like ruin your structure. That is a very bad mistake that I think maybe lows or noobs or whatever. That was a mass like terrible mistake they make, I think. So you shouldn't just allow your opponents. So here I did this. I played rook to e4. I was trying to remove this bishop, and then he plays bishop f3, targeting my rook and this one at the same time. So no elos probably now they'll say like, oh, let me attack the bishop again. Yeah. No, that's not what you do. I also almost made the same mistake by playing rook e3. Rook e3 does nothing because it just takes this. I played rook d4. Guardian, I know, yes, I've lost the pawn as he took the pawn. He took the pawn. I know I've lost the pawn. But the point of this is I can now begin to try and chase this bishop away. Yes, I played bishop e5. I can now also, as I did this, so I can now try and find strategies to chase this bishop away. So the game continues as I played rook f4, chasing his bishop away, and he can't do anything with this bishop to my rook. As you can see, my bishop is on a my rook is on a dark square while his bishop is on a light square, so he can't target my rook back with his bishop. Here he plays bishop e4, which is very good. Defended, nice. You see here, I think I could have chosen. Okay, no, that's not there, right? So this, I kick the bishop again. You see, don't let your opponent's pieces relax in your kingdom. There's no mate or whatever now. Yes, but you should always try to gain tempo on your opponent's pieces. Always try to gain the time. Always try to gain the advantage when you are playing a chess match. Always try to do something. Always like look for forcing moves, threats, captures, attacks. This, look for forcing moves, threats, captures, and attacks. Make sure to know that down. Forcing him to move the bishop away. You see, I am in a completely winning net game. See, as I just keep on targeting this bishop. You can see this again, and now this pawn is gone. What does he play? He plays bishop e2, targeting this pawn, and I come here. I play king f2. Both attacking that bishop and still defending my pawn, which is on f3. You see, don't allow your opponent pieces to just stay. Do you understand that? He has to go away. And also another tip I have: when you are in a winning endgame, you are up material, and you know you are good at positional understanding. You know you are good at understanding the structure. You know you are good at making an uneven game. Even you know you are good, like your positional understanding and everything. You know you are good at it all. Start trading. When you are up material and endgame, look for forcing trades as soon as possible to guarantee that the end game will be far easier, so you can push your pawns and promote. And I take on the pawn, which is on d5. He captures back. You see that move, I fork, I target his rook and his bishop at the same time. That's why it took. And I play bishop d5. I targeted the pawn on b7. He pushes it to take away my bishop, which was on e5. Mistake. That's a5. My gosh, I'm so sorry. That's a5. So I play bishop c3, right? c3, yeah. Then he gets his king into the action. So this is it. Now I already know I'm in a winning endgame. I have my two bishops. He has his king and pawns. This pawn is blocked. Also, you have to make sure you have to cut off. You see, when you're playing, you don't just give random checks. With these two bishops, I can decide to purposely cut off any path of this king trying to find his way into maybe the h file to come close to my pawn on h2. You understand that? So I push my pawn. He pushes back, and then I play a4. He moves his bishop away, and now I just start looking for trades, because I already know that only with this dark square bishop and my king, I will be able to, remove these pawns if I'm fast enough, careful enough. Just have to look for playing to your advantage. And then I target the bishop again. He has to make a run for it with the bishop. Then I play bishop c4. I am still looking for what? For trades, because I know that I will be in a winning endgame with my dark squared bishop. He declines the trade. Yeah. You see, when you are down material in an endgame, don't trade. Just don't trade. That's not an option. If you are down material in an endgame and your opponent probably keeps on offering trade constantly, don't trade unless you know that it is compulsory and you see that you have reached a maybe a stage in the game where it's like compulsory that you trade, or the whole end game will just collapse, or he will eventually force it and take it for free. Don't trade. And I push my pawn again. I play a5. He takes. I capture back on my dark squared bishop. And does this. He moves his king to g5. Yes, that's g5. Then I play bishop d5. Yeah, bishop d5. Yeah. So he gives me a check. I move my king to e4. I can also decide to walk my king all the way over to the a file to a7 to take on that pawn. That pawn is pretty lonely, pretty useless. Nothing can defend it. He pushes on this pawn, probably with the intention to give me a check or whatever. I ignore it because I played that move bishop b4 with the intention of playing bishop c5 to target this pawn. He gives me a check again, pretty useless to me. I move my king to e5. And he moves this pawn. You see how these two pawns are blocked? You see how they're useless? Now, this endgame is completely winning for me, both in material, in positional advantage as well. You see, I have these two bishops, which there's no way and no how, which will eventually own this pawn in the next few moves, which will eventually take on this pawn in the next few moves. Can't be prevented, can't be stopped, and there's no stalemate. You have to be careful not to stalemate your opponents in matches like this. I play bishop c5 as I intended to play before. Then he pushes on the pawn. See, maybe, I guess if you're a noob, or if you want to, you see, noobs would actually make this mistake by playing b4. That move is terrible. In fact, that move is shit. That move just makes your advantage crash. Like everything you thought you had going for you is gone. You see how this pawn is like is literally useless. The pawn on the H file is literally nothing. Like that pawn is literally a non-entity unless maybe you just sacrifice the pawn by playing H4, like with a check. Then when the king takes, you take on the pawn on F4 too. Then you also come and target the pawn which is on F5. So don't push that pawn. Instead, I target that pawn again, which is trying to run to promotion by playing bishop b6. See, and now this pawn is gone, and this bishop is useless. For some reason, my opponent sacrifices. Okay, not yet. He plays, what's that? He plays h4, which is still good. Okay, I take on the free pawn, of course. Now he sacrifices his bishop. I don't know why, but I gladly took back by playing bishop f3. See, you have to be careful. Like I said, don't stalemate your opponent. You see, this is the stalemate. It says to still has the opportunity to move. Always keep that opportunity. Don't stalemate. You see, you know that pain you feel when you thought, oh bro, I'm winning, I'm going to dominate this game, I'm going to promote, and then all of a sudden you see this that stalemate, that half no, like you remember that pain, that karma, that some people just like, they want to torture their opponents by promoting to numerous countless queens for some no reason at all. That's the mistake you shouldn't make. He pushes, I push, and now he just keeps dancing around with his king, watching as I promote, as I push my pawn to promotion. You see, the best move I think he should have played, I think what he should have played here personally, maybe king g6, king g6, or maybe king h6. But the thing was that regardless, mate was coming in a few moves, and he just allowed me to have the mate in one on a platter of gold by playing king h4, and then queen e8 was mate, and I won this match. I won the game. So if you really think this, if you enjoyed this video, if you know you learned something, or if you know you gained something, maybe positional understanding, or if you think my content has interested you today, if you think it has shown you something, or if you think you'll be able to benefit more, kindly like and subscribe to my channel to support me. Thank you very much. Love you guys. Ace Facts out.